It broke, I think it was Saturday night. Or actually, we can go back even further than that. Last week it broke. Donald Cerrone versus Tony Ferguson next month. Sign me up.
Yeah, but did we even talk about that last week as an option? Because I don't think Tony Ferguson's name came up.
I don't think it did. It's almost like we assumed he'd be in super fight territory, but this kind of is, so to speak.
I think it is. I honestly think it is. I mean, this is huge for Cowboy, obviously. Tony Ferguson having to come back from what he's gone through. And of course, you got Cowboy on his little run right now. I mean, if he beats Tony Ferguson, what are we going to say now? Like, he has to get a title shot, right? Like, geez. And if Tony beats Cowboy, is he not supposed to beat Cowboy?
Yeah, that's the thing. Based on what I've seen out of Cowboy Cerrone, I don't think this is going to be an easy fight for Tony Ferguson. Donald Cerrone is a good, I'll say this. Donald Cerrone can be a bad matchup for anybody. He's that well-rounded. And then when I think about the guys that Tony Ferguson has had trouble with in the past, he's had trouble with Kevin Lee. Okay, well, Donald Cerrone's wrestling isn't that outstanding. He had some trouble with Lando Venata and the unpredictability of Lando. Donald Cerrone isn't that unpredictable, but Donald Cerrone is one of those guys who I wouldn't say is necessarily elite at one particular thing, but he's real good at almost everything. He is somehow still an underrated fighter, and I think that's a great fight. Then it was announced that in August, Nate Diaz will fight Anthony Showtime Pettis. First off, can't believe Nate Diaz agreed to this fight. Why do you think he did after so long? Is it just money, or is he aching to fight again? He's not fought in 3 years, Joe. The last person besides Conor McGregor that he beat was in 2015.
I mean, other than money, what can you say, right? I think it's about money. I think he wants to get paid, and you know, he could have the itch to fight again, which is probably normal in general when you're talking about most professional mixed martial artists and the Diaz brother in general. Although we shouldn't say Diaz brothers, it's more Nate, because Nick doesn't seem to want to fight at all unless it's a title shot. So I appreciated your texts and your tweets and whatnot, talking about, you know, in essence, I'll believe it when I see it, and that's pretty much the basics, right? I'll believe it when I see it. We hope the fight does take place, but there's always going to be some sort of drama leading up to the moment he steps into the cage for Nate Diaz. So I think it's a great fight versus Anthony Pettis, and it'll be interesting to see how that one breaks down. But I hope it goes down. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that a lot of people will think that's like a gag on the show, but it's not. I said that about the Dustin Poirier fight. It didn't happen. Who was Nick booked to face? Nick was booked to face somebody. Yeah, Nick was booked to fight Anderson, or not Anderson Silva. He was booked to fight somebody last year, and it didn't happen. And that's how I feel about the Diaz brothers. Would love for it to happen. Don't think that it will happen. A fight also on the docket now. Frankie Edgar versus Max Holloway this summer. It makes a lot of sense. Volkanovski's there, but he didn't have the type of performance at 237 that makes you stand up and say, you got to give him a title shot right now. Now, that being said, with Dana White, you never know, because I didn't think that Kamaru Usman's fight against Rafael Dos Anjos was one that would make you stand up and go, wow, get the title on him now. But to Dana White, that was. So a lot of it has to do with the amount of respect that Dana White has for a fighter. So that's why I still thought Volkanovski was in the running, because Jose Aldo has, for better or for worse, been a good soldier. He's still fighting in the UFC. They think a lot of him. But Frankie Edgar, ya boy, gets the nod against Max Holloway, and this is a hell of a fight. And you have Max Holloway stepping up again to help save the day for the UFC, so to speak, in a time where they didn't quite look like they would have a title fight in one of these pay-per-views.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is what Frankie and Max's third time trying to get this fight together. So hopefully, knock on wood, the MMA gods allow it to happen. It'd be great for both fighters to just get this off of their shoulders, put it on their resumes. And, you know, I'm assuming, I didn't check the odds just yet, but I got to assume Max Holloway is the favorite heading into this fight here. But you can never count out Frankie Edgar. I mean, what happened is I'm trying to think of the one bout where it was he just got destroyed in the first round. Who was it? And then Max destroyed him. I'm drawing a blank right now. It's from Cali. Oh my God, I'm drawing
Ortega.
Brian Ortega, right? It was one of those things where Ortega is just that good, but then Max showed he's that much better. But you can't ever count Frankie out. I know it's vintage talking me or vintage Joe talking about all those fights he had with Gray Maynard, but you never count Frankie out. He brings that speed, and he'll just keep coming forward until he has to go in there for the finish. So I think it's a great fight. I'd like to see how he's going to get past that reach. We all know Frankie's got fantastic cardio despite him getting older. So Max can put all that pressure that he wants. If he doesn't break Frankie, it'll be a 5-round war, no matter what.